Hi, everybody. This is the Southborough Master Plan Implementation Committee meeting. It's Thursday, December 4th, starting the meeting at 5:38 p.m. Welcome, everybody. First item on the agenda. Okay, so first, hello to everybody. I did put out just a standard agenda, just to let you know. In the future, I will ask for topics. But I didn't this time. So this is kind of a standard agenda. I wanted to talk about the transition of the goal tracker over to the town OneDrive. And there's been, some developments there. Alan, as you know, you started off the whole thing and, ran with it, which is really great because I think none of us really had the time to do that or the bandwidth. And I have since learned a few things. And I just, wanted to see if you have anything that you want to start off with saying, and then I'll jump in.
With respect to shifting over everything to the town OneDrive,
Yeah. Anything that
um,
you discuss or learned?
not much. I more just want to underscore the fact that moving it from any one person's individual account to the town is better for lots of reasons. One, because we get to take advantage of enterprise backups and things like that. If someone gets hit by a bus, as the phrase goes, the content and data live on. So generally speaking, it's a good place to host it. I do know that if we want to share a view of the tracker out with the public for them to kind of inspect. We will be able to do that, but not quite in the way we envisioned. The way we envisioned, which is sort of the way it was living, was in a Google Sheet, Microsoft Excel sort of equivalent where you could go to tabs and use filters and sort of dynamically change it and almost like a live dashboard in front of you. Due to accessibility issues, we are not able to do that. In speaking with Jay Montijo, our IT director, so what we are able to do is print sort of static view PDFs of the charts and host them in sort of a series, almost like a series of posters in a way. So that's something that we can aim to do. It's not quite exactly what we envisioned, but it is a workaround nonetheless. And that way, our progress will be more public to our fellow citizens.
Yep, I think that's great progress to get it there. I had a question. I actually had a chance to work through and update the tracker with the things that I knew about there, and I made it about halfway through everything. And I added my comments to the thing in red type, and I think it'd be helpful to have an easier way because I had to go through and format each one separately in red, so you can flag who's making the comments. I think it'd be helpful to have some way to indicate who's adding comments in there other than simply initials, which is what we had previously. And you can read the initials, but it's a lot easier for me to flip through and say, what did I add? What did Debbie add? Et cetera. Here to, if you want to look at new comments. I'm not sure if there's an easy way to do that, but it's food for thought. I couldn't think of an easy way other than simply color coding. For those others who aren't colorblind, it works great. But anyway, food for thought. But
Okay.
I'm about halfway through, and many of the things I don't have detailed knowledge of, and high level understanding, and so I'm not saying that my comments are 100% accurate. Other people have different. Please feel free to chime in, but a lot of things I'm not aware of any plans for many of those things, but maybe there's something going on that I'm not aware of, so I don't take that as 100% guaranteed. So, but at least it's a start, and I'll keep grinding through there. I think I'm about 60% done going through with update comments.
And Sam, just to confirm or help me understand, when you say you're going through, are you going through the sort of the boards and committees that we've all kind of put that parceled out to each other, and are you going through the whole thing soup to nuts?
I'm going through the whole thing because
Okay.
I go to a lot of meetings and I
Sure.
got
Yeah.
a pretty good idea about what's going on across a fairly broad swath of
Okay.
city.
Got it.
I'm not suggesting that I've got a perfect picture there, certainly, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
wanted to note everything that I'm aware of, which I think is a useful starting point. And again, people should feel more than free to say, wait a minute, Sam, that's wrong. I know
hmm
better than that. So don't assume I know it, but I'm just brain dump with what I think I know, what I've heard, et cetera, what's going on. So
I think that
Okay.
systems work, Sam. I mean, that you started that
I've
because
done
you
it a
were
couple
going
of
to a
times
lot.
historically, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, just sitting on other committees that, you're joining and listening in, and if anybody's listening in, I think that sort of like crowdsource a little bit, where we hear things, we pick things up, and I think that's
Yeah.
been pretty effective. I'm gonna come around to the other side of the table because Will just joined us. And that
Okay.
Are you sure?
So we can talk to each other
Okay.
face to face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna zoom in, but it didn't look to me like it was working, so that's why.
Well, may not have been. So if you wanna,
Yeah, okay,
share
I'm
with
fine.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
I will provide public acknowledgement of Mr. Warren's robustness here. He shows up with no socks on, so his ankles.
I don't wear
frozen.
socks. No, I had hand surgery about 12 years ago, and I
Uh-oh.
got out of the habit of wearing
Uh-oh.
socks. So
It is
I
cold out
enjoy it.
there. for no
0
sense.
degree weather.
Yeah.
But I think we should have this outside. I was gonna suggest, right.
Thanks.
We've done that when we got locked out of the townhouse.
So anyway, that's sort of my take on the tracker. I think it's, again, we're making progress, and I think it's a great mechanism, and it'd be good to find, as Alan suggested, easier ways to do snapshots of progress in here, certainly. And maybe if there are ways to filter automatically for things that are on track, behind schedule, need follow-up, don't have to worry about done forever kind of thing. So some of those notations are in there.
Yeah,
It's hard to filter in Excel in some of those, I think.
yeah, and so just to let you know, so a couple of things. Alan, I don't know if you're in the tracker now, but right before the meeting, I went in there and I didn't see it, so I got a little alarmed. It's there, I know it's there. But at some point, I think we should probably.
Tracker's not there.
Well, I only, for whatever reason, I could only see like some documents and not all, so I'm just hoping that.
There's a index. It's a Excel spreadsheet that uses.
I must have been on the wrong tab.
Use the spreadsheet.
Yes, use this spreadsheet. So one thing, so just to let you know, I took the task of sort of cleaning it up, and I had asked Alan, like, don't transfer it yet. I want to get in there and clean it up because we had several versions of the tracker with documents in different places. So I tried to simplify the folders, and then I put our like liaison documents so we could all get at them. There was a little bit of transfer, I guess, over from the Google document over to Excel. I wouldn't say things were lost, but there was like a little bit of like management or something that had to happen just to make sure that like links were put back and stuff like that. I happen to like the Excel document better than the Google document. You can see the tabs along the bottom now, and there's quite a number of tabs that are keeping track of all these different things that we're putting in. One of the things I added, which I'm trying out, is if something is completed, if we would put the year like 2024 completed, or many things were 2021 completed. I've been looking at other towns, and as you know, I watched, I think Westboro and Grafton, they made master plan implementation committee made presentations, and that's one of the things is they're showing sort of in terms of progress, how much happened in like year 1, year 2, year 3. I'm not sure whether that will benefit us or not, but so that's one of the little changes that I made
That
in
would be
there.
a good
Otherwise,
filter on
yeah,
year of completion if we could.
yeah,
Maybe that's pull those things out of a separate file or page,
Mhm.
Alan, in terms of a separate sheet. Once things get done in a particular year, pop them into a summary tab or something here, so you can look each year to see whether it's completed.
yeah. And then when I try to just gray out the rest of like the year so that we don't feel like if it's complete, it's complete. We don't have to keep updating it with like how it is.
To your point, Debbie, I did find one place as I worked through, not that I looked perfectly there, but one place where a task was repeated
Okay,
with a different number. So it looks like maybe when something was transferred, it got one row out of sync or something there.
all right.
So it was 2 rows that had the same language in them, but different label on it.
Okay,
I noted that in my comments.
Okay.
So there may be a few places where it's translation.
Eleanor, do you happen to be in that document now?
No, but I can try to get there.
Okay, I mean, just because I got really worried before I came here, so I was trying to like get into Zoom and all kinds of other things and leave.
Mhm.
Um, so so one of the other things I wanted to mention was right now we're using Jay Montiel's Dropbox. It's where most of it for boards and committees and departments.
That's the town's OneDrive.
It's the town's
Mm.
OneDrive where
Not yet.
so everything's going to be in there. What the vision is that planning board will start to use OneDrive. They had the opportunity, from what I understand, from some time ago, but it was never been set up. We've been using Dropbox. Other groups, such as I believe Conservation Commission, definitely, and I believe maybe the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Building Department are using OneDrive. And so Planning Board is a little behind, but Jay is working now with, I think, Colleen to set that up. So we shouldn't notice anything, but right, Jay will move the folder from his drive, which is the town's drive, and it will go over to the planning board drive. But we shouldn't notice any interruption, but I believe that hasn't happened yet. When that happens, that will be very good for the planning board, who's our appointing authority, that they would be able to go right into these documents and see the full thing.
But they can go into OneDrive also, so I don't think it matters which pile it's in as long as it's there.
That's correct. We haven't given them access to this, but that is an idea, like,
Again,
yeah. And especially when we do the report to the planning board, if we wanted to say, here's the spreadsheet, if you want to go look at it, I don't think they would like to, but I mean, we haven't done
I
that.
don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Anybody can get into anything they need to there.
So
Okay,
in that time, Debbie, I'm now in the use this file 2025 master plan tracker.
okay.
Do you see the index there and it says use this version?
I see cover and instructions
Yeah.
as the first tab. Is
Okay,
that
what I
what
did,
you? Mhm.
yeah, I mean, Sam's got a lot of the committees, so like, do you remember which, for example, do you want us to go in and take a look at it now or just
No.
on our own time?
Yeah, I'm not done yet, so.
Yeah.
And people should feel free to update their particular groups or anything else that they know about.
Yes,
Mhm.
So, again, my suggestion was, we now have initials in there. I have SS for my comments,
Mhm.
but I made red type. So they stand out better, so if people want to pick a color or something, that make it easier to keep track of that way, other than just letting know. I find that useful. If people don't find that useful, it's okay.
no, that's good. Alan, I know as the newest member of the committee, I know you've reached out. You had sent me an email. I think you were reaching out to I think it was the Affordable Housing Trust. Is that correct? No.
I
Okay.
had I had DPW, the technical department, which I'll get back to in a second, and Economic Development Committee.
Okay, it was the technical department. You had sent us a note of. I just want to acknowledge that I did get your note, but I haven't read it.
Dormant economic development, really.
No, actually, no. That's not it. I was also confused because I wasn't sure if I was reaching out to Matt Probst or if I was reaching out to Jay, because it didn't say IT, it didn't say Mass Municipal Technology, which is what it's called. It was somewhere in the middle.
I said economic development committee.
Oh, that one. Yeah. So I ended up I just simply emailed everyone on Monday, and I have updates from all three committees by today.
Interesting. The economic development committee, I don't think has a quorum now. I think they lost.
They do not have a quorum, but they did have an end of year list of accomplishments that I have to sort of turn into and match up to see if it does match up to anything in the master plan. And then yes, they did acknowledge that they are down people, that they do not have a quorum. And they also acknowledged that they had received no guidance from the select board about how to proceed.
Yeah. I think that's all true.
Okay.
Mhm. I don't know if they've asked. But I do know that the select board has not given guidance.
Okay. Speaking of end of year accomplishments, some skipping minutes. It's that time of year again. So I sent around what we submitted to the town last year. I think it was primarily, Sam and myself, and Sam, I think a lot of this. We were, for the first time, this is last year's, I
Yeah.
haven't updated it, so simply Colleen sent it around to me. Typically, master plan goes right behind planning board. Technically, we're not a subcommittee, so it could go somewhere else, but, planning board kind of,
This is for the town annual report.
this is for the town
document.
annual, report. So we have two things going on. I asked to get on the next agenda. I was hopeful to get on the December agenda for planning board to give a report to the planning board. However, I have wanted us all to try to get our metrics in so that we can kind of do what we did last year, create some of the charts and things, that we're doing, the quantitative stuff, and present that with maybe, a verbal update. So I did ask to get on the planning board agenda. I think it's January 12th, if I'm not mistaken, the next one. So we have some time before that one. And then also in parallel, Colleen in the planning department said, it's that time of year. This is the report for I guess it's the annual report for annual town meeting. Is that what it is?
This report.
Yeah, the town report. It gets published with the warrant,
The town annual report document that's published each year, not in the warrant.
not in the warrant.
It's a standalone document that lists what's going on with various departments and committees.
Okay,
So that's what this is for.
that's what this is.
Yeah.
And so, Colleen said, I'll give you last year's, and you guys, if you want to update it, that's fine. So I sent it around, and, we can take a look and see if we like this format or if we want to do something a little bit different. Yeah. Did you get that in the email, Alan?
Did I get what in the email?
I sent around, I think with the agenda, I sent, last year's, MPIC report.
I thought.
Let me get back.
Oh, the minutes. Oh, sorry, with the minutes.
In the minutes.
Yeah. Well, it was two documents that were attached. And so the question is, do we want to kind of, it's just a little 1.5 pager.
Yeah.
Do we want to stick with it, or do we want to try maybe
I do
some
something
fancy?
similar. I mean, there's not a lot that's particularly new
Right,
in the last year, frankly.
Right.
This was a pretty good summary, I thought, so take this. If anybody wants to take on a more comprehensive view, I certainly encourage it, but I'm not eager to spend a lot of time. And basically, nobody reads the annual report, so I'm not eager to spend a huge amount of energy on it. And I think it's useful to update as we could reasonably update, but not particularly helpful in terms of communication with the public.
Right.
So,
I know every.
Well, I was gonna ask Sam, does the cable TV committee have any accomplishments this year?
yes,
Okay. You're talking about the meetings that we've had, but we haven't.
we got the Verizon deal done.
Oh, would you count that as this year? Okay,
I don't know
all
when
right,
it was done. And, we were engaged with Charter.
okay, I'll write that.
So,
Yeah, I think some of these big ones are really important to capture. I mean, I think one of the things I noticed with this annual report last year is that some of the committee chairs and coordinators were saying, well, we've done so many things, we want it to be highlighted. And wait a minute, this is just the master plan. They're going to highlight it in their own committee report. So we're not trying to do that, but what we're really trying to do is sort of skim off the top, really some of the major accomplishments, so that if somebody's reading the report, they can see something like that.
but for me, the big message is there's a lot going on
Mhm.
that committees and boards are doing, town departments are doing, that are consistent with the master plan objectives. And so I think reinforcing the message that a lot of things are happening, and frankly, far more than 2008 master plan produced, as a matter of fact. So to me, that's a positive message that's worth reinforcing and not beating to death.
Yeah, I actually think we accomplished a lot last year. Through the zoning or
Boards
housing,
and committees did.
boards and committees, yes, not this,
We're sort of standing on the sidelines.
right.
Right.
No, I mean, as a town, I meant we as a town, right.
One thing I'll share is when I reached out to the three I had, again, just for reiteration, some weirdly named technology group, economic development committee, and DPW, 0 for 3 knew that there was a master plan committee document to which they were beholden to. So I don't know if it's not communicated, or if someone didn't pass the torch or what, but they didn't even know that they had this. And then one person even asked, well, hey, can I actually two, can I make some changes to this? And I'm like, I'm actually not even sure because this was the master plan that was adopted as of date X. I mean, you can obviously add more to it, but like I mean, this is not like a sort of a back and forth. That was X years ago. Like that's when that should have happened. And if your predecessor didn't do that or did or didn't do that and didn't tell you now that it's here, I don't know what to tell you, unfortunately. But I just thought I'd share that because I don't know if universally if our boards and committees are telling folks that we have a master plan and they are beholden to things.
Probably not consistently, obviously here. So, and you're right, Al. I mean, we're not in the process of editing the master plan at this point. We're getting geared up to do the next. So I encourage people to keep their ear to the ground and be involved next time around.
When will that
Pretty soon. 28 or something starts.
So you're saying
27,
in
28.
2028?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, so for example, I started to keep just a little list in my own folder through Metro West planners. We had a meeting, I think you might have been there, Sam, MPIC on, I think it was historical preservation.
Yeah.
Plan, I think it's called. And I thought, maybe that's something that the historical commission might want to look into. It might be a nice master plan goal. But that's years away and they might be thinking about that. And, that might be something that, just jot it down and say, well, maybe, creating a historical plan with all your properties and what,
But we have that stuff. And we our
do have
historical commission was involved in the last master plan process. Yes. Should be involved in the next one. So that would be their opportunity to weigh in and add pieces to it. Certainly.
Yeah, and I do think the next one there will be more buy-in. And Alan, to your point, when this committee was formed, I'm not sure, Lisa was the chair at the time, and I'm not sure if a letter went out to the boards and committees and departments. But when I became chair, I did send like sort of a one size fits all. You're being notified that you have recommendations, goals and recommendations in the master plan. Here's a list of liaisons. Your liaison will be reaching out to you sort of more a little organized way. And then we all went out and did our work. I do think this is a fair amount of turnover. And the one thing I was thinking about was like SHOP-C and Affordable Housing Trust, and that change. There were a lot of housing goals and SHOP-C folks knew them, even though they said, hey, a lot of that's going to be in the housing production plan. It's not clear to me if the Affordable Housing Trust folks even know about what any of those goals are. Maybe they do.
Maybe housing trust people have looked at the housing
plan, but it doesn't exactly align with master plan housing goals. Yeah, I mean, I think it may not. So I just wanted to bring up another point. Also, looking at other towns, let me just to your point, Alan, Mass General Law does accommodate towns that want to amend their master plan. But I think Southborough doesn't think of it as an iterative plan because essentially you'll go crazy. We know there's already been goals that are abandoned, other priorities that have come into play. A lot of different priorities have shifted. And that's to be expected. And I don't think there's a will to do that. Now, if a committee has other goals, that's perfectly fine for them to say, hey, we have these additional goals. So for example, Conservation Commission, the agent, Melissa Danza, puts out a list every year and says, okay, here's how we're doing on our master plan goals. And these are the additional ones. and then once a quarter, once a half a year, she goes through them with her committee, and that part of it is iterative, the non-master plan stuff. So committees and boards are free to do that if they want to, do something
Oh yeah.
like, yeah. And it's
Let me be
interesting to
clear here.
know.
I'm
Yeah,
not advocating that we make a change for these groups. I'm just reporting back what I heard. I think
yeah,
we should probably do a better job when we start the cycle again to remind people that start thinking, work collaboratively among your team, whoever you have to reach out with, so that when we actually do the collection and sort of the input, that you feel like your voice has been heard. And also, PS, you might want to establish a little bit of a transition that when roles and people change and depart and arrive, that you tell people you have this so people aren't caught flat-footed.
Yeah, and also, Debbie, I think we got huge flexibility, the planning board has huge flexibility to change anything they want about it. State law requires us to have a master plan,
Yeah.
but how we do it, I mean, we could update it every year
yeah,
if we wanted to. But again, my sense is the planning board has not been interested in spending much energy
right.
on this, and our committee is, part-time people that historically have not spent a lot of time. Judith Watson actually spent, hundreds of hours on the thing, only because she's Judith. It was hugely helpful, but the rest of me particularly are not going to spend 80% of my time on this. I'm happy to contribute as I can, but so we don't have the people power
Yeah.
to update frequently and manage aggressively, unfortunately.
Well, I do think there's a benefit to sticking the stake in the ground and saying, this is where we were in 2021.
Yeah.
And then,
Mhm.
like that was it. And if this committee wants to come up with something new, then that might carry over into the next. I did want to just mention, one of the towns created a new category for their goals and recommendations, where they were calling them actions. They called them something different, but they call them the new committee. The category was called abandoned. And I thought, wow, okay, let me see this. And we have some of those. And I don't know whether we should say that's an abandoned goal, but if a committee says we're no longer working on that.
We had some of those that in fact people had individual interests and focus
Yeah,
that got onto the list that nobody else cared much about. And so there was no traction, no budget, for example, to
Yeah.
support a number of things.
yeah,
And so, I don't know whether you say that's abandoned or simply, unlikely to happen or no support kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't think that's a bad thing to have some of those on there because they're all, worthy goals, but
Yeah.
there's just not enough resource to support it. The interesting thing for me is that, again, I watch Westboro meetings, and Westboro actually has money budget for their master plan implementation committee.
now we've talked about that before,
I think
Sam. Is that a
that's
good thing or a bad
I
thing?
think that's something that's pretty interesting. Clearly, the planning board needs to be the one that champions that and makes it happen if it's going to happen. But I think that gives the master plan implementation committee a little leverage that we don't have today to offer support and resources for people who are doing things that the planning board through us wants to have happen.
What kind of budget do they have? Like, do you know how much?
I don't know. My sense was tens of thousands of dollars kind of thing. So
Yes.
I
Wow.
wonder what we use it for.
Well,
for projects that
Yeah.
they, through the planning board's direction, want to emphasize. So they try to make things happen in a particular direction, which is, as we've talked about, I mean, I don't have any sense the planning board has got pressure on us to say, these are things that we think are important as a board that needs to have more focus or more support. Yeah.
Are they buying labor services or? the
No,
people?
Northborough did something with their tricentennial committee, so they put some money toward, because they're having a big
Well, we
celebration.
put money toward the tricentennial.
Right, but theirs came from some amount came out of their master plan implementation
Oh.
that they put toward that. So trying to help them meet whatever, because they're doing a year-long celebration, and so their master plan helped out there.
They buy consultants, for example.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not that they're buying like materials or whatever.
In some cases, I think to support projects or whatever,
Okay,
but again, they've got flexibility to, move some money around to make things happen. So I think that, for me, that's food for thought for next time around. Not gonna happen this time. Let's do it.
So on the topic of money, one of the things I added a new tab in this Excel sheet about funding. So if you remember in the original master plan, the committee did some thinking about, if they needed, to meet the objective of the goal or recommendation, where could that money come from? And so I took that out of the master plan and added it to each of the goals and recommendations. Some have multiple, so it might say something like CPA funds or government grants, for example. Some of them have multiple, but most of them have one. And so I was thinking it might be interesting to look at, for example, CPA funds are, the town envisioned that there would be CPA funds to meet some of those things. Is that something interesting to look at? Or the grants, did town envision that there would be grants to do a bunch of different things? Has that come to fruition? So I don't know, but anyway, I added it as a column, just so that we can maybe start to look at that, next year. Yeah. So do we think we should send out a note, like a more organized note? I mean, Alan, to your point, you're feeling it because you're new and you're having some feedback that, you've got a couple of committees and really not sure what we're up to. Maybe that's not the way to say it, but do you think that we need to advertise ourselves a little bit more? Maybe let them know that we're out here and who we are this year because we've got new committee members?
Well, as we're going through the update process, I've had a couple of conversations with people. And so I've used that to reinforce me. The group I'm working with done before, so
yeah,
they know what we're doing. So if there are groups that we haven't touched, all right, it's worth doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's happening organically here.
Yeah.
Are there specific deliverables or inputs that we need from them on specific dates? And that really good to make sure that they're aware of
We
that.
need an update for this town annual report thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
But this is an update different from their accomplishments. Right.
Right.
From their accomplishments, yeah.
Yeah.
It's their master plan related accomplishments, basically,
Okay.
not their overall accomplishments. Because they're doing their own town report and a report update. Presumably would include all of their accomplishments, master plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I don't mind taking a crack at updating this annual report. Sam, if you want to volunteer to work with me on that, or somebody else would like to take
a pass, I'll be happy to.
Take a pass and I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's pretty nuts and bolts, so I think and I don't even remember the timing on it. I think it's actually due really in January, but I think they had a December target for first.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do that. So the next thing is the report to the planning board, and I do think the planning board's next meeting is January.
December 8th, January 12th.
Is it January 12th? Okay.
Okay.
January 12th.
Let's do the annual report thing and use that for the planning board.
Yes, and I think I ended up doing that last, I don't know what I did, to be honest. One time I did that. I think that's great. Yes, we'll kill two birds with one stone. And I'd like to also, at that point, we'll probably have a lot of the input into the tracker, and we might be able to put up some fancy charts and see this is where we're at.
It's hard for me to get excited about that because I've done it several times and it's been a snoozer. So.
Are you saying you're not going to come?
I'll make every effort to be there, but.
Well,
So-
you know what though? So hold on a second. Let's maybe not kill ourselves. If you've done that before, Sam, and it's been a snoozer, why don't we ask the planning board? Would you like us to come present, or would you just want to read a one pager?
Yeah, that would be
And
fine.
if they want to
with
read a
me.
one pager and they don't really care, save ourselves some time. But if they want to hear us, then we'll go present.
And then the next step after that is, do we want to go talk to the select board? So I hear you, Sam. We've had this conversation a lot about, is there anything more we can get out of the planning board? But I was thinking, is there anything more we can get out of the select board? Because the select board has the power. They're setting the goals and they've got the budget.
They got the budget. Yeah.
So should we, just sort of flipping things on its head a little bit, as master plan implementation, should we is there any role for us, let's just say, to go to the select board and say, hey, these are the things that like we as a master plan committee, implementation committee, feel that, they had a good start and they stopped. And, you might be just want to be aware that, that might be something you want to focus on. Not maybe make a recommendation, stopping short of a recommendation, but so that they know that where things are at with some of these goals.
I guess I had a slightly different take. I think it is worth getting on select board agenda.
Okay.
And my rule of thumb is you got 10 minutes there before people get bored. And there's a long series of people who drone on forever in great detail. And I don't think do themselves a lot of good with that. So we need to get to the point quickly.
Jody caught you on that.
But
So I won't be presenting.
I observe that at select board meetings.
Who's the most succinct here?
But in fact, I
I think
think
you,
the
Alan.
real point is, I think it's worth updating the select board to say, a lot of good stuff has been happening.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that are happening. One of the things that I have done, and this group has talked about historically, maybe before Alan joined, is I looked at the select board's goals that they do every June. They do a goal setting session.
Yep.
And tried to figure out what they think is important, which is likely to be where resources and support are.
Yeah.
And pick master plan objectives that are consistent with that and track those and emphasize those, because we want to go with the leverage, with the momentum there, as opposed
Yes, and the
to
money.
swimming upstream. You could pick 10 things that there's no money for and you're going to be disappointed about. So pick things and reinforce with the committees that you work with to say, hey folks, these are things that are likely going to happen because the select board is putting resources behind them. So let's all swim in the same direction here and accomplish more. So I think the question then again, we ask the select board, like we've asked the planning board in the past, do you think, are there things that you believe are critical here, in addition to the goals that you've selected? I've read your goals, and they're tracking along those lines as well. Are there things that you want to add to the mix that we can reinforce as we go around and talk to committees that involve the master plan process? So give them the same opportunity that the planning board has had, not really taking advantage of.
I like that again.
Guide us to focus or press as we can. We don't have any real authority or leverage, but we can certainly ask questions about these goals if the select board thinks are important. Give them a chance to weigh in.
Yeah, and when they set their goals in June,
Yep.
are they brand new goals I see them and I know that they update them at the meetings.
Many
Are they
aren't.
brand new or are
Many
they
aren't.
just continuing?
Yeah, many are.
Many are.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can think about like March or something to talk to them, or February.
Yeah,
I mean,
February.
after this, and we've sort of gathered where we're at.
February, yeah. But give them a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
Give them the courtesy of opportunity to provide input, like the planning board.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be managing this process at a higher level. We could be helpful potentially. We ought to be able again to give them an opportunity to guide us if they choose to.
My 2 cents here, which I shared in our very first meeting, is that, and I just shared this candidly with Debbie the first time we talked about this, is that it doesn't seem like the master plan implementation committee has a lot of teeth. We reach out to people, we ask for updates, maybe we get them, maybe we don't. Okay. But I do think it's very important to go to the select board. First, show them what we've done, right? We're trying to push this along. And if the select board isn't happy with sort of the lack of updates we're getting, then it's like, okay, but work with us. Like, you go to one of those boards and you ask for updates also, because we asked and we didn't get them. And if the select board can hear firsthand that they're just not getting sort of compliance with it, then it's like, all right, well, then we can collectively need to pick a different approach here, because this approach, as it were, isn't working. So
I would describe it as not getting compliance. I mean, the groups I work with are friendly, supportive generally. And again, it's not surprising because members of those groups participated in the master plan objectives and implementation steps came from those boards and committees. So it'd be amazing if there was great discontinuity there, certainly, as opposed to consistency.
Right.
So, but they just, they're not devoting a lot of effort for us particularly. I think of us as trackers as opposed to influencers so much, but we can be a gentle reminder, reinforcement. And you're right, Al, no teeth, but sometimes a little gum action gets things done. So,
Alan, I was thinking PPW chief is brand new, and I'm not sure that I would understand, I mean, it's not brand new anymore, but
couple of years.
Yeah, I can't remember who had him and if he's aware of master plan
I
goals.
did.
You do now,
I did.
yeah,
Yep, he was not aware that there was a document from his predecessor. He was the
Okay.
one who asked if he can make some changes, and yep. So again, I just to echo, this progress has been made. Whether or not it lines up directly with master plan implementation goals, maybe, maybe not. Let's let those committees update their own. Hey, this is what I did for the year. Great. If we can sort of tie those back to the master plan implementation goals and update their tracker accordingly, great. And then I think we have a story to tell to the select board that there's some progress has been made, some hasn't, some progress has been made outside of the master plan. Let's let those committees tell you what they've done. We don't want to steal their thunder, but moving forward, this is where we are. If you like the velocity, great. If you don't, we could use the partnership.
And Alan, I think the segue on that one is we're starting to talk about the next master plan. And so if you as the planning board and you as the select board have different guidance to provide here, if you're not getting what you need, then here's an opportunity to start thinking about how we're going to set up the next master plan development here. So never too early to start doing that and beginning to build people's understanding, expectation, and opportunity for guidance in that process. I think we've made great progress from the 2008 version to the 2021 version, and we have opportunity to continue to make that progress, I think. And it might include things like, God forbid, the select board and the planning board working together on it. I hate to be a heretic here.
I'm gonna write that one down, Sam.
Well, actually,
or
raises
funding a budget for master plan.
I'm gonna write that one down too.
raises a question, which is, in your opinion, what master plan goals is the select board actively managing, or what committees are they actively managing?
No committee. Well, the master plan, the select board, I can't remember the list.
Oh, there's a
off the top of my
lot
head.
that are assigned.
They've got like 15 or 20 goals the select board does, and almost all of them actually correspond to things in the master plan.
Okay,
And so, and they again tend to find money to do those things, and they've allocated those goals to different select board members to continue to work with the boards and committees to pursue those kind of things. So, for example, some of the stuff around technology for the hearing room, for example, they've got now money to update the audiovisual stuff in there. It's slowly happening. So that was one that was, I think, on the list. So, and again, to me, progress is wonderful, but we need to keep looking ahead and get people thinking about, can we do better? Do you want to participate? If you don't, that's your choice. But at least raise that possibility. I think it's part of our communication.
Yeah, and the process is long. I mean, I don't know if the timing on the master plan is as long as the last one, but when I was looking at Grafton, which had been like I think 15 years before they did one, so I think they also had some help from Central Mass Planners. I think helped them out. They had about a 2-year lead with all the open house and the surveys and everything like that. I don't know if it slowed down because they had a consultant helping them, or whether I'm sure that helped them.
That's about what it takes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 years.
so.
And I'd like to try to get us back to 2030 instead of 2031, which would mean about 2028. But I think the planning has to happen in 27.
Start thinking now, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think it ought to be planning board deputizing the town planner and staff to actually drive this process internally, which has not happened historically.
Well, so remember that a subcommittee was formed, if I'm not mistaken. I guess it was the master plan, which was a subcommittee of the planning. Whereas we are not, I believe we are not a subcommittee, master plan implementation. No. So the planning board, right, they created a subcommittee. So, anyway, that could be something.
16 to 18 people.
Right.
On that committee.
it was big. Yeah,
It was big, but I mean, that might be that in 28/7 or 28, a team of committee. We recommend a subcommittee get formed so that we can get us back into the decade kind of thing, and start thinking through what kinds of activities do want, and what are some of the things we're picking up about what might be goals. We also talked about, and as you look at other towns, if you happen to just go on their website and look at their master plan, We have quite a number of goals and recommendations, very, very ambitious. And, I was trying to add up like
205 or
Grafton
something
had
like
like
that.
50. Basically they're saying we're gonna concentrate on these 50 because these are things we really want done. And maybe that's not enough for a decade, but 205 is a
Do you know
lot.
if did Grafton use a third party planner or did they do theirs on their own like we did?
So they got help from Central Mass.
Okay. Yeah.
This is where
So
this PPMA, yeah.
I know that when in 2008, when Southborough hired a not to be named consultant to help them with their
Yeah.
master plan, they didn't quite like the results or that sat shelved. And so the past one, they took it upon themselves to write, which I thought was very ambitious and a very good document. But noticeably, we've got 200 plus recommendations. It is unwieldy. My recommendation is a hybrid, right? Hire someone, pay them to help guide us along the process, but not write it for us. Use our volunteers to help provide some of the content, but have the consultant say, "This is too many. This is not enough. You might want to consider this and do that." So if we need to, again, this is my personal opinion. I'm not sure if we take a vote on this at some future time, not today. But if that's the case, then we need to lobby for that money, put that money in a budget sooner rather than later, because this is going to be a very long process.
I 100% agree with you, Alan. I think that we basically swung from
Yeah.
not very inclusive to over inclusive. That's right.
Yeah.
And in fact, basically the process was anybody who had a good idea, it sounded kind of reasonable and not totally flaky, got it on the list. And there were a lot of things that were never ever going to happen. We knew that when they were suggested, but nobody had the discipline there to say, nope, that's not something we want to include. So we need a mechanism next time around, I think, be much more aggressive in terms of filtering and say, sorry, Bob or Sally, that's not going to make it. Let's move on here.
I would also recommend that, if we're gonna do this master plan again, and we're going to focus it, right? Then let's make sure that we understand what the ongoing implementation management process is gonna be. Because I think the 205 initiatives also hamper this kind of activity as well.
Yeah.
And they also, I don't know if it's clear to the committees as to just how serious people are about the master plan. Exactly what you just said, that there's a lot of things we know are gonna happen.
Well, and I think you're right, Will. I think we got to have a clearer picture. But to me, that comes out of the not only the way it's set it up by the planning board, setting expectations about this thing, as opposed to last time the planning board just sort of let it happen. And I think there needs to be some more management there in terms of setting boundaries, if you will. Here's what we expect to get out, no more than 20, 50, 100, whatever the number is, of objectives and implementation steps. Not that other things aren't important or going to happen anyway, but let's focus more.
Well, I would hazard a guess that, everything that we do around this process, we want to make sure that it's going to be more effective in getting these 50 or however many initiatives we end up with done.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, that might be something that would help, is to have that end in mind.
And frankly, again, that comes back to one of my earlier comments. If you could, God forbid, get the planning board and select board to work together on that more and come up with a list that not only makes good sense from a planning standpoint, but has some possibility of getting resources behind it. I think that is a far more effective combination. But sadly, I'm not optimistic for that. It would be worth at least discussing and trying to do something about.
And I know that also in this master plan, there was an effort to get groups, cross-functional collaboration. And some of the goals and recommendations are very murky, I would say, as to who actually owns. Yes, sir, there's someone whose name's in a box. But there's multiples. There's a lot of duplication. So, like you might have noticed, Alan, when you were on the EDC or you're looking at it now, EDC has a big role in talking about, what is Remind going to look like and where's the mixed use development going to go? And the planning board has create some zoning for mixed use development. Let's say, I think we do have one, and then I think Shopsy also had a goal that says create mixed use development. And so I find that, maybe those 201, they're not actually, and then some of them are written just slightly differently, where it's like, well, isn't that the same goal? Like, so I would like to see that avoided in the future. Like I can see that the town has a goal, let's say it is mixed use development. It should only be stated once, and maybe there's the primary and then the other committees that are working collaboratively or some a different way that what we have now, because I have found that a little bit difficult. And Judith and I actually found a couple of kind of, like mistakes in terms of, how it was finally put together at the end with the duplication.
But well, we did make an effort to identify cross-functional
Yeah.
things. And in fact,
Yeah.
Judith and I had conversations with groups on our lists who should be working together to reinforce that they were aware that everybody was working completely in the same direction.
Yes.
And generally, people were aware and were willing and actively coordinating, not, all that aggressively, I would say, but certainly were aware that it's going on. So I think that's a great thing to be reinforced.
Well, would it help to try and get the planning board and the select board together to actually hammer out?
That's my point, yeah.
That's what Sam's saying.
But
Yeah.
a little bit of oil and water these days.
Well, we could invite the planning board and the select board together. I mean, if we pick a date, February or beginning of March or whatever, I mean, has to avoid town meeting and stuff.
That's one that you socialize with the chairs, I think, for a while
Yeah,
before you try to push.
No, that would
Yeah.
be fine, but just to make sure they both are pulling in the same direction
Yeah.
for the same purpose.
Generally they are.
Okay.
It's not that, people are just going crazy in totally different directions. But I think you get more leverage if you got people working consistently for a smaller set of things. Which I think, again, all these, for me, are great comments in terms of laying the groundwork for the next pass with this thing. Lessons learned, and not that we haven't made great progress this time, but we can do better.
Well, just with respect to it, the thing that you were saying, mixed use development.
right.
Everybody who's working on that have a shared view of what that actually means? Because that's a big term.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I really don't know. I mean, at one point when we had the EDC coordinator to get together with that person, Mia and somebody from Shopsy and but it was disconnected from planning board, so they're trying to get together to say, okay, how are we going to move this goal forward, for example. And there was a thought that, that's going to get worked out in zoning on Route 9 or something. I think there's a school of thought now that I've heard come up in planning board that, a lot of towns are not happy with their mixed use development. So, okay, but that's a conversation that you have to, like you don't just abandon the whole thing. It is a master plan goal, I believe. So maybe it works for some communities and it doesn't, but you need conversations to understand, like, it's got to be the location. Where is it? The experts need to come together. So to your point, I don't think those conversations have really happened. If they have, they've been like a little bit disjointed. So I don't think there is a common like shared vision of what, what that actually means.
Right. And again, I think, I hate to be a critic here, but the planning board, in my view, doesn't do planning. Planning board does permitting. And so you need somebody who actually takes the lead and says, here's the idea, the concept for software for mixed use development. Here's the concept for housing. Here's the concept for open space. Here's where these things ought to go. Here's the kind of quantities that we ought to be thinking about. Here's how we make these things happen. And I don't think you've been getting that. Sadly, you wind up with fragmentation in those kind of worlds. I don't think there's any near-term expectation that's going to change much. So we're sort of stuck with piecemeal here. And I think we continue to work as we collectively can to coordinate things and communicate with people. And it's hard when there's no central line there.
Do you think that's something that we could bring up if we were able to get the boards together? To say, we have desire to
mad. I mean,
get them in?
mad. The planning board chair is unhappy with me for making that observation to her.
I've seen the signs on the lawns and everything.
But again, I think that we are where we are.
Yeah.
We got to do what we can reasonably do, the resources we have. And so I think working with the departments and trying to coordinate It's helpful, and I think again, getting the select board and planning board together and talking about this kind of stuff is helpful if they want to provide direction. I think that'd be very helpful. If they don't, then we keep working as we can.
Yeah, I would, I would say that, what you described in the planning board is that they're more of an inbox processing organization.
But their permitting is focused.
Well, that's inbox processing.
Yeah.
Right. And the select board, they have a crushing amount of inbox stuff that they have to process too.
And limited money.
Yeah.
So it's hard for people to think very long term.
Right.
And again, I think the wastewater activity is one of the things that is, it might be long term. But it might be our only hope that we can actually get to a better fiscal stability position, given the pressure on residential property taxes that we've seen shift over the last several years.
What are the major things upcoming in that topic?
Wastewater.
Yeah.
No, we got a project going to try to find a location for a plant discharge area for the Route 9 wastewater system.
Okay, so this will be building a mini sewer system.
Yeah, well, not many, but like 700,000 gallons a day is the goal. Not many.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is
Not
it's not
for the
going to
whole
cover
town.
the whole town.
Yeah, not for the whole town.
Right.
Again, the goal is to develop, support economic development along Route 9, which is horribly underutilized from a tax revenue standpoint. And if we can get that going, that can generate tax revenue from moving out from the commercial development, offset the pressure on residential pressures, which is huge.
So
And
just a
again-
heads up, I need to depart soon. So I guess we still have a quorum if I leave. So all right, go ahead, continue. I was just gonna say if we want to shift things around in terms of voting, but if I leave, we'll still have enough.
For voting, I did take a quick look at the minutes and I'm fine with the minutes. Anybody else look at them?
So I just sent them out to you, Alan. They're very skimpy from our last conversation, and I think I just put a copy on the table for you as well. And we want to take a quick.
No, I won't take a quick look at it.
Okay.
I don't deal with this kind of stuff.
So we'll do it
Okay.
next time.
So we'll do it next time.
Yeah, that's fine. Or I can just say that, Sam's opinion, if he thinks it's good minutes, well, because he overlooks my minutes and he's very, very careful.
Okay, they're on the slim side.
That's-
Alan, if you want, are you comfortable to take a quick look at the minutes before you go, or would you prefer to wait?
Yeah. No, I'm looking right now.
They're very skimpy.
No, I know. Yeah, because we didn't record yet. Sorry.
But basically it does record the votes, which is the requirement.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and I guess the issue, Alan, before you go, sort of where do we go next? I think we've talked about the account annual report and getting on the agenda for the planning board at some point here, maybe conversation with select board and planning board. And Debbie, if you want to talk to the chair at the planning board, I'm happy to talk to the chair of the select board, see what the interest is there. I think we keep updating the tracker as we can, keep connecting our departments as assigned. I'm happy with my assignments. If anybody wants to trade anything, I'm happy with that too. I don't really care. I'll do any of it.
I'm happy.
If anybody wants to change, happy to do it. And so we keep going with that. And then keep thinking about the next round on this to continue to lay the groundwork for the next generation of plan.
I think for the sequencing, if we're gonna present to if we're gonna look to present to the planning board on the 12th, again, we should ask if they want a presentation or if they just wanted the document. That means backing up. We need to make sure we have all of our. We will have at least reached out and asked for updates from our respective boards and committees to put them in, and then gone and actually updated the tracker. So I'll raise my hand. I have my reports in. I just haven't updated the tracker. So we have to decide if we want to meet again before that or not. But
Let's do
and then
that,
figure
Alan.
it out.
Probably should.
Let's do that, yeah, because if we're gonna try to, I don't mind asking the chair what the preference is, but since our meeting is January 12th, planning board meeting, they like to have something in a week before, so that would be the first week in January, I don't exactly know the date. But if we want to set our next meeting, maybe we can do that before you head out.
Yeah, I mean, is there opportunity to do something late December here? I mean, it's holiday time, but
Yeah.
That'll be fine with me.
I'm around the week of the 29th.
That would be fine.
Mhm.
So instead of, if you want to pick a different night, I don't know what's
Well,
happening.
Thursday night is not a great night since that's New Year's Eve, but
Yeah,
I don't plan to go out and paint the town there, but
Tuesday would be.
Tuesday the 30th.
Yeah, that would be great.
is it Tuesday, 30th?
Would that work for you, Alan?
Uh, looks
Actually,
like
I
it. Yep.
can have to do Wednesday. I'm sorry. I can do Wednesday as well.
Wednesday is New Year's Eve.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Thursday, that makes Thursday New Year's
New Year's
Day.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's either Monday or Tuesday, the 29th or the 30th.
What's your
I can do either.
what's your preference, Alan?
I can do either one.
Either one, too.
Either one's fine.
Let's do Tuesday the 30th.
Tuesday the 30th,
Okay.
5:30 here again if we can.
5:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Good meeting. Is there anything else or do we want to adjourn? Let's see, for, in terms of any other business, actually.
Not from me.
Not for me.
No, not for me.
None for
Alan,
me. Nope, nothing additional except I'm gonna remind myself to put my updates in the tracker, and I will.
Alan, can you just email me the link to the tracker? Just because I couldn't find it very quickly, and maybe I just don't have it linked.
You sent it to me.
Sure.
I know, but when I look
Yeah,
at it, let me see one folder.
Okay.
Send
Yeah,
it to
I'll do
me
that.
too, just make sure.
I know, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So
It's there. I know it's there and it's backed up, of
I
course.
will move it to adjourn 6:39 p.m.
Is there
I
a second?
second.
Will, a second.
Second.
All in favor, Demiria, yes.
Steiger, yes.
Will Warren, yes.
Belniak, yes.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
See everyone.